The Karnak swarm was death-made flesh, an unstoppable force that devoured stars and swallowed entire empires like dust in the void. No one knew where they came from, only that once they arrived, nothing survived. Ships vanished without a trace. Planets turned into barren wastelands. Systems that once teemed with life fell silent, their populations erased like a bad dream. The Karnak were the galaxy's living nightmare. Bioengineered hunters crafted from 1,000 conquered species, each one bred to serve a merciless collective mind. They feared nothing. They felt nothing. So when the swarm's sensors picked up strange electromagnetic signals from the small blue planet called Earth, their commanders barely spared it a thought. A primitive species broadcasting what the Karnak considered archaic war songs and old human conflicts through space. Earth was a backwater, unarmored and insignificant, a snack at best. Yet curiosity, something the swarm had long discarded, flickered in the Karnak's collective. There was something different about those signals. The human transmissions pulsed with erratic patterns, jarring spikes of emotion, madness even. The Karnak's analysts worked tirelessly to decode the broadcasts, but found only fragments. Stories of survival against impossible odds, of heroes rising from ashes, of defiance and rage burned into digital echoes. A scout fleet was dispatched, not to conquer, but to study. To test this curious species before the rest of the swarm arrived, the first contact was swift, brutal, and shocking. Karnak drones descended in orbital swarms, expecting little resistance beyond weak ground fire. But Earth's defenses were unlike anything the swarm had encountered. The sky lit up with bursts of plasma and laser fire, but more importantly, the drones were met with fierce electronic countermeasures. Earth's satellites jammed and scrambled the swarm's sensors. Enemy. Communication lines were severed with surgical precision. A seemingly uncoordinated yet terrifyingly effective digital warfare raged across frequencies the Karnak had never prepared for. On the surface, the human military mobilized like a living storm. Fighters took up positions in ruined cities, using guerrilla tactics honed from centuries of internal conflict. Civilians armed themselves, turning factories, schools, and homes into fortresses and trap zones. They hacked and hijacked Karnak drones, turning alien technology against its masters. The Scout flagship, a massive bioorganic vessel dubbed the Void Maw, found itself isolated and attacked from all sides. Its shields flickered as swarms of ground. Units fired improvised electromagnetic pulses, disrupting its neural hive link. In a desperate move, the flagship unleashed its death rays on a major city, but the humans had evacuated hours earlier, using false targets and holograms. Then, silence. The Void Maw vanished. The swarm was stunned. Not even their ancient enemies, the Zentari, had ever dared defy the swarm so effectively. Across the galaxy, the news traveled faster than light itself. The human world did not fall. It fought back. It adapted. It survived. The Karnak commander aboard the Shadow Spire, flagship of the approaching fleet, studied the reports in disbelief. "They are different," he murmured, voice cold but tinged with unease. "They do not fear death. They do not surrender. We may have underestimated our prey." The galaxy's tyrants and warlords, watching from a distance, began whispering dark rumors. Perhaps the humans were more than just survivors. Perhaps they were a new force born from chaos itself, wild cards that no strategy could predict. Earth, beneath the shattered moonlight, General Marissa Tal watched the glowing horizon from the command bunker. Her jaw tightened. She knew this was only the beginning. The Karnak would return, and next time, with fire enough to burn the world to ashes. But Tal smiled grimly. Let them come. Humanity feared nothing. The morning sky over New Shanghai was eerily quiet, but beneath the calm surface the city's defenders braced for the storm. Karnak forces had landed in the outskirts hours earlier, their towering bioconstructs moving with unnatural speed and precision. Their claws ripped through metal and concrete like paper, their mandibles clicking in anticipation of the hunt. The aliens were confident, Too confident. Earth was supposed to be a soft target, an easy meal on the path to galactic conquest. But humans had learned. They had adapted. And now, the swarm was about to discover why humanity was more dangerous than any predator they'd ever faced. In the shadows of collapsed skyscrapers, Lieutenant Kara Vasilyeva led a squad of guerrilla fighters, former soldiers, engineers, and civilians trained in asymmetrical warfare. Their weapons were a mix of stolen alien tech and rugged Earth-made firearms, jury-rigged with EMP grenades and electromagnetic pulse mines. "Set the traps and wait for my signal," Kara whispered, voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. Above, Karnak drones scoured the streets, their multifaceted eyes scanning for movement. But Earth's electronic warfare teams had scrambled their sensors. The drones struggled to distinguish friend from foe as static and false signals flooded their networks. Suddenly, the first wave of human fighters sprang from concealed tunnels, firing in synchronized bursts. The Karnak reeled from the unexpected. Assault. Explosions rocked the city's edge, smoke and dust blotting out the sun. Kara darted from cover to cover, her squad moving like ghosts in the ruined urban jungle. They hacked Karnak drones mid-flight, overriding their control systems and turning the machines against their own ranks. It was chaos, ordered chaos, orchestrated by human minds that thrived on unpredictability. Meanwhile, civilians armed with scavenged rifles and homemade explosives joined the fight. A retired teacher, a mechanic, a teenager with a flamethrower, all fought with a desperation born from centuries of survival stories passed down like sacred lore. But the Karnak commander, a towering creature named Drax, was not so easily defeated. His bioshields absorbed the blasts, and his psychic link to the hive mind sent waves of orders to regroup and adapt. He unleashed biotanks, massive armored beasts with acid-spewing cannons that tore through barricades. The tide turned in the aliens' favor. Still, humans fought harder. In the heart of the city, Kara's squad reached a high-rise communications tower. Their mission: disable the Karnak's local neural relay and cut off their hive coordination. Using a prototype hacking device, Kara plugged into the alien interface, her fingers flying over alien glyphs and symbols. The tower trembled as the system began to collapse. Suddenly, alarms blared. The Karnak sent reinforcements, swarming bioconstructs emerging from underground tunnels. The squad was trapped. "We hold here," Kara barked, eyes blazing. "No retreat." Bullets and claws clashed. One by one, Kara's team fell, but they bought precious minutes. The neural relay began to fail. Across the battlefield, Karnak forces staggered. Without hive coordination, their precision and tactics disintegrated into chaos. Drax roared in frustration, signaling a retreat to regroup and await reinforcements. But the human resistance had already changed the rules of the game. From orbit, Earth's orbital defense platforms adjusted targeting. Laser batteries ignited, focusing fire on Karnak drop pods still descending. Ships scrambled to launch counterattacks, but the humans had already disrupted the enemy's advantage. In the command bunker, General Marissa Tell stared at the holographic battlefield map. "They think this is an easy kill," she said, voice cold. "But we're just getting started." Her gaze hardened as reports flooded in. Karnak casualties were mounting. Entire units had been wiped out by improvised tactics and unexpected alliances between humans and rogue AI systems. Still, the battle was far from over. The Karnak swarm would not be defeated by mere weapons and ambushes. They were relentless, cunning, and bioengineered for war. And yet, for the first time in millennia, the swarm tasted fear, because Earth had something no other species did: a diet, resistance forged in fire fueled by rage, and a will to survive that no killing machine could comprehend. Kara limped through the smoke and ruins, clutching her side. Around her, survivors rallied, their voices rising in defiant shouts. "Hold the line. For Earth. For humanity." And somewhere deep in the Karnak command, Drax recorded the chilling data. Terrans adapt faster than predicted. Engage with extreme caution. They fight like nothing we've ever seen. General Marissa Tal stood on the balcony of the Global Command Center overlooking what was left of New Shanghai. Smoke still curled from shattered buildings, and the distant thunder of distant battles echoed faintly in the smog-filled sky. The Karnak had retreated, but only for now. They would come back, stronger, more brutal. Tal's steel-gray eyes scanned the digital maps glowing before her. Her advisors muttered about dwindling resources and civilian casualties, but she already knew the harsh truth. Earth couldn't survive by fighting like any other planet. "We don't have the luxury of conventional warfare anymore," she said, voice calm but resolute. "We have to weaponize everything, our cities, our weather, even our failures." Behind her, a tactical hologram displayed the layout of the Karnak's recent assault routes. Tal's mind raced as she planned their next move. The old doctrines, massive, fleets overwhelming firepower, had failed. The Karnak adapted too quickly, biomachines repaired themselves, and their hive mind coordinated like a single organism. But humans were different. Tal flicked a command. A new strategy unfolded. Scorched earth tactics combined with guerrilla warfare, leveraging Earth's unpredictable terrain and climate as weapons. The city of Rangi in the heart of the Indian Ocean was chosen as their first test. As the Karnak advanced, they found the landscape transformed into a nightmare. Acidic swamps created from chemical weapons slowed their bioconstructs to a crawl. Radiation storms, previously natural disasters, were artificially intensified to fry Karnak sensors and scramble their neural connections. Entire forests had been wired with electromagnetic mines. On the front lines, soldiers like Captain Omar Dax relished the new battlefield. "This isn't just a fight," Omar told his squad over comms, voice rough but fierce. "This is Earth fighting back on its own terms." Omar's squad specialized in hit-and-run tactics, striking Karnak supply lines, then vanishing into underground tunnels or dense urban ruins. Each strike was choreographed chaos, too erratic for the swarm to predict. But the Karnak were relentless. In response, they unleashed a devastating bioweapon, the Nihil Cloud, a swirling mass of nanobots and corrosive enzymes designed to strip flesh and metal alike in minutes. The first wave hit the city of Madrid with terrifying speed. Streets emptied as civilians evacuated or barricaded themselves indoors. The sky turned a sickly green as the cloud spread, consuming everything in its path. Yet, even as the Nihil Cloud burned, humans fought back. Scientists in underground bunkers raced against time to develop countermeasures, specialized suits that neutralized the corrosive effects and medical treatments to reverse exposure. Soldiers injected with experimental vaccines marched into the haze, dragging survivors out of the toxic fog. General Tal observed the reports with grim satisfaction. The bioweapon had killed millions, but humanity's unpredictable response stunned the Karnak biologists. "They expected us to break," Tal said quietly, "but we fight on." Meanwhile, the Karnak commanders struggled to understand the chaotic human will. Their hive mind, built for efficiency and order, was fractured by the unpredictable sacrifices, random heroics, and emotional rage that fueled human resistance. In a hidden chamber beneath the ruins of Berlin, the Karnak Supreme Commander, Zerthak, convened a crisis council. His monstrous form shimmered with bioluminescent patterns as he addressed his lieutenants. "We underestimated these Terrans," Zerthak growled. "Their biology is volatile, their minds chaotic. Our hive suffers from their unpredictability. We must unleash the Mind Reaper." The Mind Reaper was a psychic weapon long dormant, capable of shredding neural pathways and breaking wills en masse. To activate it would mean devastating human minds across continents, an extinction event. Back on Earth, Tal received intelligence about the weapon's activation zones. Panic rippled through the command networks. Entire cities fell into unexplained comas, thousands of people collapsing in unison. But even as the world seemed to lose hope, a breakthrough came from the least expected source. A small team of psychics, trained in ancient Earth meditation and newly enhanced with technology. Kenter, by Dr. Eli Navarro, they tuned their minds to counter the Mind Reaper's psychic pulses. It was a battle of wills waged in silence far from the guns and bombs. For hours, they pushed back against the psychic wave, until finally, a breakthrough. The psychic shield broke through, reflecting the attack back toward its source. Thousands of Karnak soldiers convulsed and collapsed, their minds shattered by their own weapon. The tide was turning. General Tal's voice crackled over the global network. The rules of war have changed. We fight with every weapon we have, physical, biological, psychic. The swarm will learn what it means to face true resistance. But even as Earth celebrated its victory, Tal knew the war was far from over. The Karnak would regroup. They would come back with horrors the galaxy had never seen, and this time humanity would be ready. The Nihil cloud had left scars on Earth's surface, and deeper scars in its people. Millions perished, but among the survivors, something unexpected was happening. The bioweapon's corrosive enzymes had triggered rapid mutations in human DNA, mutations that granted extraordinary resilience, strength, and speed. Military scientists in hidden labs raced to study these genetic wildcards. Patients once crippled by radiation or wounds now healed overnight, with reflexes faster than any trained soldier. Some developed enhanced vision, others grew denser bone structures or greater endurance. The battlefield was about to be rewritten, not by machines or lasers, but by the next step in human evolution. In the medical ward beneath the ruins of Moscow, Dr. Amina Rahal watched as a soldier named Yuri Ivanov flexed his new prosthetic arm with ease. The cybernetic limb, enhanced with alien Karnak technology, interfaced seamlessly with his nervous system. His healing wounds and muscle memory proved that humanity's melding of biology and technology had unlocked something previously unseen. This is more than survival, Amina said quietly. It's evolution accelerated by war. But the Karnak biologists were panicking. The swarm's perfect uniform genetic makeup was brittle. It could not cope with human chaos. The hive mind struggled to adapt to these unpredictable genetic shifts. New human abilities emerged faster than they could mutate. Worse still, human emotion was now a weapon. The survivors who endured the Nihil cloud carried not only altered bodies but a burning rage, a collective fury that amplified their neuroplasticity, making them capable of learning and adapting mid-battle like never before. For the first time in their existence, the Karnak felt fear. High in orbit, aboard the Karnak mothership Harbinger, Supreme Commander Zerthak seethed. Reports from his biologists confirmed the terrifying truth. Humans were no longer predictable prey. They evolved during battle, their minds and bodies rewriting the rules of engagement on the fly. To crush this rising threat, Zerthak unleashed a forbidden weapon, the Mind Reaper. Unlike previous psychic weapons, the Mind Reaper didn't just disrupt thoughts. It shattered the neural patterns of entire populations, turning soldiers and civilians alike into catatonic husks. Across the globe, the Mind Reaper's waves rolled like a silent tsunami. Thousands collapsed without warning. In Tokyo, Lagos, Buenos Aires, an entire generation seemingly wiped out in moments. But in the depths of the underground resistance complex in Johannesburg, Dr. Eli Navarro's psychic team was ready. For months, they had trained their minds to detect and resist psychic intrusions. Now against the Mind Reaper's psychic storm, they built a mental fortress, a psychic firewall that shielded not only their minds, but those of thousands connected through neural implants. The battle waged invisibly, minds clashing in the psychic realm, willpower against willpower. Dr. Navarro's voice remained calm through the mental chaos. Hold steady. Focus on the light within. The Mind Reaper feeds on fear and despair. In a moment of pure mental clarity, the psychic shield erupted. In a flash of power that reversed the attack, the Mind Reaper's wave bounced back, striking the Karnak hives with overwhelming psychic feedback. The result was catastrophic. Thousands of Karnak soldiers writhed in agony, their hive connections severed as their own psychic weapon tore through their minds. Zerthak's fury boiled over. This cannot be allowed, he snarled. We must evolve beyond this weakness. Meanwhile, on Earth, General Marissa Tal stood amid her new breed of warriors, the genetically enhanced, the cybernetic soldiers, and the psychic vanguard. We are no longer the hunted, Tal said. We are the storm. From the ashes of destruction rose an army unlike any the galaxy had seen, humans who combined raw biology with advanced technology and psychic power. They were wild cards, unpredictable, adaptable, and relentless. And the Karnak were beginning to understand that this was only the beginning. The Karnak homeworld, a massive bio-organic planet swallowed in endless fungal forests and writhing flesh, had never known the sting of enemy fire. The swarm was invincible there, the heart of their hive mind, the wellspring of their power. No foe had ever dared breach its defenses, until now. Under cover of a tempestuous electromagnetic storm, a human fleet emerged from slipspace near the orbit of Nidra, the Karnak's high nest. These were no conventional warships. They were cobbled together from stolen Karnak biotech, scavenged alien engines, and human engineering ingenuity. They moved like shadows, silent and deadly. At the helm was Captain Omar Dax, the guerrilla leader turned fleet commander. His eyes reflected the swirling storms outside the viewport. "This is it," he said. "We hit their heart. We cut off the head." Across the bridge, the crew worked with grim precision, preparing boarding pods and biohacking drones designed to penetrate the alien hive. Below them, the high nest pulsed with life, an enormous network of organic spires and neural tendrils, throbbing with the combined consciousness of trillions of Karnak. The hive mind hummed, sensing the intrusion. Alert sirens screamed. On the surface, Karnak warriors rallied, their mandibles clicking in defiance, but confusion spread quickly through the ranks. The humans struck with unprecedented speed and cunning. Hacking drones burrowed into the neural network, injecting viruses that corrupted Karnak communication. Swarm soldiers found themselves cut off, disoriented, fighting in isolated pockets. Inside the hive, Omar's boarding party moved swiftly through winding tunnels of pulsating flesh. Their biosuits shielded them from toxic spores and neural feedback, but the deeper they went, the stronger the psychic resistance. "Stay close," Omar ordered. "We're here to destroy their core." No hesitation. The team reached the central nexus, a cavernous chamber glowing with bioluminescent light. At its center, the Karnak Queen writhed, a monstrous entity embodying the hive's collective will. Her countless eyes fixed on the invaders. She hissed an ancient warning in a guttural voice. "You do not belong here. Your defiance will be your undoing." But Omar raised his weapon, a hybrid pulse cannon designed to disrupt bio-neural links. "Your reign ends today." A thunderous roar shook the chamber as the Queen unleashed waves of psychic energy, attempting to crush the invaders' minds. Yet, thanks to psychic shielding technology pioneered by Dr. Eli Navarro's team, the humans held firm. They returned fire, detonating biobombs that destabilized the Queen's neural core. The hive convulsed in agony. Back in orbit, the human fleet launched coordinated strikes on High Nest's biodefense systems, creating breaches for their ground forces. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. Humans, the long hunted, had become hunters themselves, striking deep into the heart of the once invincible swarm. But victory came at a cost. As the Queen's neural core destabilized, she sent a psychic scream, a warning that echoed across light years. "Earth is the death of us all." Omar heard the message as a chill ran down his spine. The Karnak were not defeated. They were desperate. They would return, stronger, smarter, deadlier. And this war was only beginning. The high nest burned, its bioorganic structures collapsing into a writhing mass of molten flesh and fungal spores. Captain Omar Dax watched the destruction through the viewport of his command ship, the Resolute. Around him, the human fleet regrouped, ready to capitalize on the devastating blow they had dealt the Karnak hive. But Omar knew better than to celebrate too soon. The Karnak were not a dying species. They were a storm. Back on Earth, General Marissa Tal stood before a vast assembly of leaders, scientists, and soldiers. The war had transformed humanity. The genetic wildcards, cybernetic warriors, and psychic defenders had become the spearhead of Earth's resistance. Their victories inspired a new surge of hope and of determination. The swarm will hit us harder than ever, Tal warned, her voice steady. But so will we. We have proven we can fight on their terms. Now it's time to show them what it means to face humanity united. Her words ignited a firestorm of resolve. Across Earth, factories churned day and night, producing hybrid weapons that fused human ingenuity with Karnak biotechnology. New battalions of enhanced soldiers trained relentlessly, mastering skills that blurred the line between man and machine. In the shattered streets of New Shanghai, Lieutenant Kara Vasilyeva led a squad of these elite fighters. Their mission was clear: disrupt the Karnak supply chains and communication nodes scattered across the planet. Every small victory was a ripple that could topple the hive. Kara's team moved swiftly through the ruins, utilizing their genetic enhancements, heightened senses, rapid healing, and neural reflex boosters to outmaneuver Karnak patrols. They planted EMP charges and deployed cybernetic scouts that hijacked Karnak drones, turning the enemy's weapons against them. But the true strength of the human surge lay in something no machine could replicate: will. Despite exhaustion, pain, and loss, humanity refused to surrender. They fought not just for survival, but for their right to exist, to thrive, to be free. Meanwhile, deep within the shadows of the galaxy, the Karnak Supreme Commander Zerthak gathered his shattered forces. His once mighty hive was fractured, but not broken. "We face extinction," Zerthak admitted grimly to his generals. "But from destruction comes rebirth. We will evolve beyond this war." He unveiled a terrifying new plan. A fusion of bioengineering and dark psychic arts that would birth a new breed of warrior, the Voidborn. These Voidborn would be faster, stronger, and psychically shielded from human attacks. Their very existence would challenge everything humanity had fought to build. But the plan was risky. The process demanded sacrifices, entire Karnak broods consumed in the ritual to awaken the Voidborn. Failure meant annihilation. As Zerthak's biolab pulsed with unholy energy, his thoughts drifted to Earth's defiant leaders. He knew the coming battle would decide the fate of all sentient life. Back on Earth, Dr. Eli Navarro and his psychic team sensed the growing threat. "The Voidborn will change the game," Eli warned during a strategic briefing. "We must prepare, not just physically, but mentally. This is a war of minds as much as bodies." General Tal nodded. "Then we fight smarter, harder, together." In the skies above Earth, fleets of hybrid warships scrambled to respond to new Karnak incursions. Below, cities fortified themselves, citizens trained as soldiers, and scientists pushed the limits of human potential. The war was no longer just a defense. It was a surge, a human tide rising to reclaim the stars, and as the Karnak Voidborn emerged from the shadows, ready to plunge the galaxy into darkness, humanity stood ready to meet them, with fire, fury, and an unbreakable spirit. The night sky above Earth was torn asunder by streaks of green and purple light, portals ripping open as the Karnak unleashed their newest horror upon the galaxy, the Voidborn. Towering biopsychic monstrosities, the Voidborn shimmered with ethereal energy, their bodies a fusion of Karnak flesh and dark psychic storms. Where they stepped, reality seemed to warp, and fear crawled like ice through human veins. On the front lines, Lieutenant Kara Vasilyeva tightened her grip on her plasma rifle as the first wave of Voidborn stormed her position. Their psychic shields rendered conventional weapons useless, and their strength overwhelmed entire squads in seconds. The humans who fell were not mourned as victims, but as seeds of new resistance, fueling a burning determination to push back harder. "Focus fire, on the joints," Kara shouted. "Aim for the weak spots." Her squad unleashed everything they had: high-powered railguns, EMP blasts, and experimental nano-weapons. The creatures staggered, some withering under the barrage, but most pressed forward relentlessly. Behind the lines, General Marissa Tal coordinated the global response. "Deploy psychic teams to the front," she ordered. "Their minds are the key." Dr. Eli Navarro and his psychic warriors surged into the fray, their minds a shield against the Voidborn's psychic storms. Eli reached out with his thoughts, probing for weaknesses in the monstrous creature's mental armor. Hours of focused meditation and training had taught him one thing. The Voidborn's power came not from raw strength, but from a fragile psychic core. If we can sever their connection to the hive mind, we can disable them, Eli explained to Tal. But it's a dangerous gambit. Tal nodded. We have no choice. In the ruins of Berlin, a combined force of enhanced humans and psychics launched a daring assault on a Voidborn breeding ground, a pulsating cavern where the last batch of Voidborn eggs throbbed with life. The battle was fierce and desperate. Kara led the charge, charging through waves of Karnak soldiers to reach the eggs. Her genetic enhancements gave her speed and endurance beyond any ordinary soldier. She planted charges designed to obliterate the organic nursery. As the eggs began to hatch, horrific creatures spilled forth, twisted hybrids with claws dripping venom and eyes ablaze with malice. Kara's squad fought tooth and nail to hold the line. In the psychic realm, Eli focused every ounce of willpower on the Voidborn commander, a gargantuan beast known as Nithrax the Mindbreaker. The creature's psychic defenses rippled, but Eli's assault pierced through, striking at the core of its consciousness. Nithrax roared, a sound that shattered minds and echoed through the battlefield. With a final psychic explosion, Nithrax collapsed, its body twitching as its connection to the hive shattered. Voidborn across the front faltered, their psychic storms dissipating into harmless sparks. Victory was close, but the cost was high. Kara fell to the ground, bleeding and exhausted. Around her, survivors regrouped, their eyes reflecting a mixture of triumph and grief. General Tal's voice crackled over the comms. This is only the beginning. The Karnak will evolve again. But so will we. Across the galaxy, human colonies united in resolve. The Voidborn assault was a wake-up call, a brutal reminder that survival demanded constant adaptation. From the ashes of destruction, humanity's spirit surged. They were no longer victims. They were the storm, and the Karnak would learn that the human heart was a force no bioweapon could crush. The galaxy held its breath. From the shattered ruins of Earth to distant human colonies scattered across star systems, every eye was fixed on the final battlefield, the Karnak homeworld, now burning under the assault of humanity's greatest fleet. General Marissa Tal stood on the bridge of the flagship Resolute, the weight of humanity's survival pressing down on her shoulders. Beside her, Captain Omar Dax checked his weapons and cybernetic enhancements, eyes steely with determination. This is it, Tal said quietly. The fate of all mankind rests on this battle. The Resolute and its fleet plunged through the atmosphere, weaving between massive bioorganic towers and writhing neural tendrils. The Karnak hive pulsed around them, a living fortress of flesh and mind. The Karnak responded with fury. Swarms of biodrones erupted like locusts, darkening the skies with their numbers. Voidborn giants crashed through defenses, psychic storms, battering the human fleet's mental shields. But humanity fought with everything it had. Enhanced soldiers, psychic warriors, hybrid biotech weapons. Each strike a message. They would never surrender. Omar led a boarding party deep into the hive's neural core, where Supreme Commander Zerthak awaited, a monstrous fusion of Karnak and Voidborn, a living nightmare. You are fools, Zerthak growled, to think you can end the swarm. We are evolution incarnate. But Omar smiled grimly, raising a pulse cannon forged from both human tech and Karnak biomachinery. Evolution is a battle, Zerthak, and humanity fights to the last breath. The final clash was a storm of flesh and fire. Omar's team battled, through psychic traps and monstrous defenders pushing toward the hive's neural core, the source of the hive mind. Meanwhile, General Tal coordinated the fleet's synchronized strike, a massive EMP wave designed to collapse the neural network and sever the hive mind's control. As the EMP pulse rolled across the hive, Zerthak screamed, his monstrous form flickering. With instability, Omar reached the neural core chamber, planting the final charges. With seconds left, he faced Zerthak in brutal hand-to-hand combat, their struggle shaking the chamber. With a surge of strength born of desperation, Omar delivered a crushing blow, shattering Zerthak's biopsychic core. The hive convulsed violently, its psychic web unraveling. Across the battlefield, Karnak forces faltered. The psychic storms died. The bio-drones lost coordination, and the void-born giants collapsed. General Tal's voice came through the comms, calm but resolute. We have broken their mind. The swarm is no more. But victory was bittersweet. Earth and countless colonies lay in ruin. Millions had died, and the galaxy's scars would remain for generations. Yet humanity had proven something eternal. No matter the odds, no matter the terror faced, the human spirit would rise, relentless, adaptable, and unbroken. In the aftermath, as survivors rebuilt amid the stars, General Tal addressed the galaxy. We fought not just for survival, but for freedom, for the right to shape our own destiny. The Karnak tried to extinguish our light, but we burned brighter. The war was over, but the future was unwritten, and humanity, the wild card of the galaxy, would ensure it was one of hope. End of Galactic. Killers feared nothing, until they encountered human resistance.